new and improved little studio with the new kind of show. People have always been asking us since we've been doing Table Titans. Every time we do a fight breakdown pre-fight card, people have always asked us what our picks are for the fights. And I'm from an analyst perspective, you're from a promoter's perspective. We have unbiased opinions through and through. We don't matchmake for that. I don't tell the story of the fight with any kind of favoritism. So we naturally have never picked our fights for our own events at Cage Titans. That's where Big Mike Silva comes in. That's where you fans come in. But we realize that, you know, there's fights on basically every weekend now at the upper echelon of things, the UFC, and some people there we know, some people we don't, but we don't have any business involved in any matchmaking or how the fights go. We're not James Krause. We can make bets on those fights and figure that there's enough out there on Saturday nights that involve the UFC. And welcome to Friday night fight picks for the first time ever. We're going to be making some predictions on the undercard and the main card of UFC 282, the final pay-per-view of 2022. And we're going to start making this a regular thing. Just a little bit more content for you guys so you can get our insights into who we would actually pick to win the big fights on the weekend, since we wouldn't do it for our Cage Titans fights.
Yes, and not like we need more content to put out there, right?
No.
But honestly, truth be told, I am not much of a picker. Now, I know people ask me all the time what I
Unless
think
it's his
fights.
nose.
Yeah, I do. I'm a pick and flicker, I guess. But no, anyways.
Choose it, too.
But anyways, I'm not much of a picker, so we're actually looking for people that want to join our team and come be a part of this Friday night pick. So anybody who's watching and thinks that they have some nice insight on fights, you're more than welcome. We meet here at Coops. You come on down on a Friday night. We'll pick some fights, or we kind of secretly record it and release it as a live. But well, either way, we can coordinate with you. So we're always looking for people that want to get involved. So if you're interested in being part of Friday Night Fight Picks, hit up Andy, hit up myself, because I'll be quite honest, I'm not long for the world of picking. I want to do it, but I'm like, man, I hate picking fights because whatever. So anyways, without further ado, we have a couple we're not going to go over the pre-prelim card, but we definitely do want to go shout out to TJ Brown, Cage Titans alumni. He came up and fought Peter Barrett probably 3-4 years ago.
This was 2017, November of 2017. They fought each other because I was still fat. I remember that.
Right.
That was the last month of Fat Andy. So
Cool story. He fought Peter Barrett on that card. Peter Barrett picked up, took the loss. TJ Brown won that fight. They both went on to compete on Dana White Contender Series
on the same night.
The same exact night, and they both won a contract on the same exact night. And so it's pretty cool. So TJ Brown, we're rooting for you.
Yeah.
He's taking on Eric Silva. Should be a tough fight.
Yeah, and that's on the early prelims on UFC Fight Pass and ESPN Plus. So big shout out to downtown TJ Brown. Hoping you get another big victory in the UFC. So that's a huge way to open up the card. So no
We
bias.
got two Cage Titans guys on this card.
No bias there whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
there we
TJ
go.
Brown, good luck downtown. But we're gonna start from the actual undercard. That's starting at ESPN Plus and ESPN2 for the UFC. And there's right out the gate, there's a name that has followed the local scene many times down in Rhode Island. He
Former
was a
CES
former
champion,
CES champ, and fought legendary Cage Titans fighter Sean O'Malley on
On
the
the
Contender
Contender.
series, and it was a great fight. He didn't actually even get signed, even though he
He
knocked
had that,
Lally out with
sweet
a,
chin
it was a hook kick and finished up. And he didn't get signed that night, but went on a run and found himself in the UFC and finds himself on quite a little tear with a number next to his name, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's ranked in the top 15, just
Nice.
gracing it, is Chris Curtis, who's taking on Joaquin Buckley, who's got one of the craziest highlight reel finishes with that spinning wheel kick that was caught,
that was
knocked
him.
out of, I forget the gentleman who he knocked out with that, but was a crazy highlight. And these guys are two heavy-handed fighters at middleweight that are going to be scrapping to keep to solidify that ranking that's next to Chris Curtis's name. So this is a hell of a fight to open up, and I think both guys are really explosive strikers, and Chris Curtis is someone who can really take things into the deep water and progress as the fight goes on. So it's a tough one. Who do you got?
Sounds like I'm curious who you're taking. I mean, I feel like I know exactly who you're taking, Chris Curtis. It'd be hard for me to pick against Chris Curtis, to be quite honest. You know, not only does he have some connections fighting in New England, he's just an incredibly nice guy. and it'd be hard for me to pick against him. So I am going to go with the left circle, and I'm taking Chris Curtis to pick up the victory in this one to keep the ball rolling.
And I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think Joaquin Buckley is a dangerous prospect for anybody at middleweight and welterweight. I think he's fought at both weight classes. I know Chris Curtis has as well. I think that Chris Curtis got a lot of extremely valuable experience before making it to the big show that Joaquin Buckley might not have. And it's already proven him a lot of success.
Buckley's 15-5.
He's got 20 fights under his belt already, but Chris Curtis has been fighting a who's who since long before he got there, and came in
short against Hermanson.
Yeah, his last fight was against Hermanson, who is a ranked contender. He filled in late notice on that fight and is looking to bounce back into the win column after it.
Honestly, looking at both these records and who they fought, who they beat, they were on some pretty good, Curtis was 3 fights, then he, 3-fight win streak, then he came up short against Hermanson. This, our other guy here, Buckley, he was on a 3-fight win streak, came up short in a decision. I think both guys are going to be hungry. This fight actually might be...
It's a banger.
You can circle both guys on this card, on this fight, because I think this fight's going to be crazy.
Yeah, tough to pick, but I'm going to agree with you on that one and go with Chris Curtis as well for that.
Ding, ding. We both got Chris Curtis. All right.
For those who are curious as to...
And we're going to keep track, and we're going to do a little contest. We'll have fun with this.
We're going to have a little fun. We'll see what we disagree on here, but we're in agreement on that fight. But that one honestly could go either way.
Don't hold me on this card because, quite honestly, I've been so focused on finishing up Cage Titans 57. I didn't do my homework, and I didn't look up these guys and do some research. So this one, going to give me a pass. It's our first time, so if I do shitty in this one, don't hold it against me.
This is just something we've been spitballing for the past few months, just starting up, and we finally just kind of throwing it together. So
yeah, cool. All right, so here we go. What do we got next? Who's the next one there? What do you got?
let's see. Dalcha Lungiambula versus Edmund Shabazz at a middleweight contest. That's the next one on the undercard.
All right.
Both guys, Lungiambula is on a 3-fight losing streak, as is Shabazz. They're both kind of riding skids. Shabazz had a hell of a bunch of hype behind him as he started off his career undefeated, getting to 11-0, signee from the Contender Series, and then since he's faced some tougher competition between Derek Brunson, Jack Hermanson, and Nasruddin Imavov, he's been struggling to find his stride, but he's really been facing some of the upper echelon of the division. And Dalcha Lungiambula,
he fought Ankalaev, who's fighting another title.
Yes,
he
fought.
I was about to say, don't even talk about anybody. I'm going with Shabazz. I mean, I think I still am, but I mean, shit, man.
I'll take the difference on that.
You want to go the
split
difference?
it up. I
All
think that the size and the power of Lungiambula is going to play a factor here. I think Shabazz is a young prospect who's hitting the skid. They're both hitting the skid. It could be do or die for both of them, but I just think Lungiambula's got that game-changing power that is going to be able to nullify
so you're going with
slick attacks from Shabazz.
I messed up. So. I didn't. So Andy's going with. We're both getting different guys. Next time I'm going to do different color circles. We're kind of quickly going through this, so I got the same color circles. The next time we'll do different color circles.
We got the difference.
We got difference. Here. I got Shabazz, and you got. I'm not even going to attempt to say the guy's name.
Dalcha Lungiambula.
All right, my man. What do we got next?
Next fight, we've got the heavyweights coming up. Chris Daukaus versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. You want to try that name as well?
Nope.
No? Come on.
Rozenstruik. Yeah, I think I got that.
Yeah, Rozenstruik.
I got Daukaus.
Yeah, You got Daukaus in that fight?
I can say Daukaus.
I'm going to take Rozenstruik. I think Rozenstruik.
Well, I didn't say I was taking him.
That's what you just said. I asked.
I meant I could take pronouncing his name.
Oh, you can pronounce that.
I could pronounce his name.
Yes, the pronunciations.
Right.
Yeah, that's a 2-syllable name that you don't struggle with. But
man, this is a tough one. I mean, look at what Daukaus got going on. All right, let me hear you break it down. I'll go off of your breakdown.
Chris Daukaus is coming off of back-to-back losses to Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, two of the more prominent heavyweights that have been around for a long time. He's been finished by both of them. He hasn't fought since March, and Rozenstruik also coming off a loss to Blades, a decision loss to Blades. And then a TKO loss to Alexander Volkov. Did I miss that one? Yeah, that was actually on a fight night of ours. I actually missed that fight.
Same night as that fight.
So, Rosenstruik came in, he was knocking everybody dead with like short punches. Then he's 2-4 in his last 6 against real stiff competition, losing the Blades, Volkov's gone, and Ngannou. So it's kind of like he's stiffening up against the competition. And Dawkins losing to...
I picked first last time. I'm giving you the first pick this time. I don't know.
His one's a really...
I don't give a screw it. I'm taking.
I'm gonna go with Rosenstruik. I was just about to say. I'm gonna take the power.
Right.
I'm gonna take Biggie Boy. I think that he's gonna be able to clip Dawkins early, but Dawkins can go.
Over here. Dawkins. I'm taking Dawkins.
All right, I'm going with Rosenstruik here.
All
Give
right.
me,
Boom.
give me that man from Suriname.
So
All
we're
right.
we're opposite on this one too.
There we go.
I mean, I don't know, man. Hopefully Dawkins tries to take him down and is able to do something there. I think it's a bad idea to stand and trade with him. So, I mean, isn't Dawkins a police officer? Come on, let's give it up for the police officer. I think he was a police officer.
Fuck the police. No, I'm joking. I give it up to the police officers too, but...
All right, there we go. All right, so...
Serious, all respect to the cops out there, but also...
Quincy PD, we waiting outside coops. I'll tell you what kind of car he drives. All right, what do we got next?
Next one, this is one that we're both very much looking forward to here. We've got the youngest ever fighter on the UFC roster stepping into the cage for the first time off the Contender Series, Raul Rosas Jr. He's taking on Cage Titans' own commentary partner of mine, friend of mine, champion of Cage Titans, Jay the Joker Perrin. He's 0-2 in the UFC. We've seen him take a little bit of a downspill into the competition that he is faced at the UFC level, but he's tough to put away. You know, he's well faceted in all games, and I think that he's going to be really motivated and coming into his stride. Feels like he's the B side on this. I watched his interview earlier. He seems like he's really collected. Santa Claus.
Did you see the part? He's like, Rosas said he intends on being the first champion by 20 years old, the youngest UFC champion. And then Jay, in perfect fashion, he's like, cool, I want to be Santa Claus. Like, it's not happening, kid. You know what? I talked a little bit about it the other day on my Instagram Live, and Jay was so dynamic on that microphone. He really stole the press conference this week. His was the ones that were getting spread out the most, his sound bites and sound clips. And it just goes to show you, we've been preaching this for a long time at Cage Titans, that just as important as, your fighting skills, your mic skills, your interview skills, and we preach that to these guys. Get behind the mic, get comfortable, because you're going to have to do that later on when you move your career up. So Jay did a great job. I'm proud of him. I mean, I don't think there's any secret who we're going with in this fight. I mean, do we really have to say it? I'm going with Perrin, obviously. Who are you going with?
Perrin, come on, you ain't got to be rooting for.
I was going to say, that's a given. That's an easy one. So, Jay Perrin, Jay the Joker, we wish you all the best, and we cannot wait to see what you do this weekend.
Absolutely, man. I'm stoked to see him get his first UFC win and get someone with as much clout as Rosas has. He was the youngest man in the UFC, and then we're going on to the
And
main
Jay had a
card.
great take on it. It's like, if the kid wasn't 18 years old, you wouldn't be downing his skills. That's all you're talking about is his age, his skills for his age. Well, your skills, you need to be able to perform inside the cage.
He's handling it well.
Yeah.
I love it.
Who we got next?
We got Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Bryce Mitchell, infamous grappling, heavy attack, relentless with it. And Topuria is a dynamic striker with some explosive movements, and he's fought a who's who. Both of these guys are right on the cusp. I think I'm going to be in agreement with you on this one. I'm going to have to go with Bryce Mitchell, but Topuria undefeated as well. Both of these guys haven't tasted. I don't know. Has Bryce Mitchell tasted defeat? He might be undefeated if I'm not mistaken.
15-0 versus 12-0.
Neither one of these guys has tasted defeat. Striker versus
Who are you going with?
Striker versus grappler matchup. Man, this is kind of an old school type of fight. I might have to agree with you here, and I might have to go with Bryce as well. If you can control Edson Barboza and sneak out a win over a seasoned veteran like that, I think when it comes to the battle of prospect versus prospect, I think Bryce Mitchell's going to be able to control the Georgian.
Yeah, I was privileged enough when Manny Bermudez and Joe Giannetti went out to try out for the Ultimate Fighter.
That is the Georgian flag. Am I good or am I good?
So when he went out there, I remember seeing Bryce Mitchell at the tryouts, and he got called to the mats to do the grappling portion, and everybody's like, oh, he was going against a Team Alpha Male guy, and it was like, who's this hick that's coming out here? And then bam, he put on a clinic. He got like 3 submissions in like the 3 minutes that you get to actually show some of your skills. He was amazing. I've been a fan ever since. I got Bryce Mitchell, obviously.
Who's the Duplessis? That's South Africa.
Who are you looking at?
Am I good or am I good? The flags under the
Oh.
names. I'm trying to guess their
Trying to get. So who do we have next?
Dricus Duplessis versus Darren Till. So we're both taking Mitchell on that fight.
Yeah.
We've got the South African versus the Brit. Oh man, this is another fall. I'm taking the South African. I'm taking Dricus Duplessis against Darren Till. Darren Till's been on a skid. I think that he was. I think he was big on the hype train, and
So you are taking Duplessis.
I'm taking Dricus
All right,
Duplessis.
let me look at this guy. Who's he fought so far? Brad Tavares decision. Yeah, I mean, Brad Tavares is a good win. I just don't know if he's fought the level of competition as Till. I mean, I gotta assume Till has been training his ass off at Hazmat. I will name drop again when we were over in London. He fought that night. We went to his after party. Super cool dude.
Darren Till.
So Darren Till. Yeah, it was a little insane, but it was a good time. I gotta go with Darren Till. So
All right,
I'm picking Darren Till. We're opposite of this one.
Splitting on that.
All right, so here we go.
This next fight's gonna be a fun one too.
All
You
right.
feel like what?
I was like, I just had to give like 2 stories about my experience with these guys. I'm such a name dropper today, but sorry. I go with my heart, who I want to win. Maybe not in this case going with who, my real thoughts are, I guess. Is what I'm trying to get at. What do we got next?
Our next fight.
I think I still have it queued up as Robbie Lawler, but as
Robbie
you guys
Lawler.
know, Robbie Lawler unfortunately pulled out this weekend.
In steps another bald fella, Alex Morono. Morono's actually going to be fighting Ponzinibbio in this one, and I think Morono is just a little bit younger and kind of coming into his stride as a contender at a couple of different weight classes. I think he's on
Four in
flight.
the UFC. You say he's a newcomer.
Well,
4-fight win streak. Woo!
Up and comer. I didn't say newcomer,
okay,
but
okay.
up and comer. And he is on a heavy win streak where he's just been able to outpoint a lot of guys in there. And I think that Ponzinibbio, even though he's one of the more dynamic strikers,
He's lost 2 in a row.
very, very narrowly lost his last 2 in a row. And he's still very competitive. I just think he's been plagued by injuries. There was a point.
I'm taking Ponzinibbio.
I'm going to go with Morono on this, taking the short notice fight up in weight. I think that
We circled Robbie Lawler for him, but obviously we know that's
Alex Morono, but I think
I'm taking Ponzinibbio.
I think Alex Morono is going to be able to sneak
All
out
right, hey,
a win
listen,
in this.
I like this. We got some we actually have some difference of opinions, so we'll see what actually goes on here.
And the next one's going to be a fun one.
this
I
is
think I
gonna
know
be
who
a
you're
fun
going with. Your team, England. You're God blessing the Queen tonight. So
Who
I think
says that?
You picked Darren Till, so I think you're going to pick Patty the Batty Pimplet here. I'm
there we
already
go.
sneaking on that. You're on that hype train.
Man.
And if there's anything about me, I fucking hate hype trains. I can't wait for the derailment of this kid. I got nothing against him. I think he's a great dude.
So you're
I think
picking
he's
Gordon,
fucking
is that what you're
accurate.
saying, just based off you don't like what everybody else likes?
Yeah, basically.
That's not a
I'm
good
not-
enough reason.
Good enough for me. What the hell? We're doing this.
Oh
for fun.
man,
Do
this
whatever
is
the hell I
super
do.
tough. I mean, I get the Patty the Batty hype train. I actually thought he was going to come up short. I didn't really think he was as good as people say he was. I remember the whole thing with, I wish Johnny Cupcakes was here. He had a whole thing with him when Giannetti was supposed to fight Pimblet and Cage Warriors. Spoiler, Joe missed weight, and it was like a 6-7 day notice fight. Johnny Cupcakes strips down, jumps on the scale, and just starts going nuts in typical Johnny Cupcakes fashion, screaming, "I'll fight you right now!" And he was hitting me up after he get off the stage. They finally convinced him to get off the stage and get off the scale. Then he's texting me all night, "Do you have my medicals?" So I'm collecting his medicals. Like, this looks like it's gonna happen. Like, he just literally jump on scale, inserts himself, and it was quite the scene.
Nothing happened though.
It didn't end up happening. My boys will hate that I'm doing this, and I'm not doing it because of the hype train. I gotta go with Patty. I'll be honest, like the whole, Barstool Sports supporting Molly and all those people, like, I get why some people don't think they deserve the hype, but dude, he's delivered. I thought his last fight he was up against a super tough task, and he passed with flying colors. Man. I think he's good for the sport. He's good for business. He's had the most growth recently in social media. It brings more eyeballs. So here's where I'm at, where I'm picking a fight, because I think if he wins, it's good for the sport because it brings more eyeballs. There was many times I wanted Ronda Rousey to lose, but I knew that every time she won, random people that weren't following the sport started following the sport. So for that reason, I'm picking Patty. Because I think with his star rising, it's good. Just like you hate Conor McGregor. When he fights, people that don't usually watch the sport. And me as a promoter, I think that's good for the sport. So I'm picking Patty.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jared Gordon on there. I think the derailment is about time to happen. Jared Gordon, he's been fighting in the UFC since 2017. He's been around a long time. Was fighting UFC level competition even before then. Has fought the champ Charles Oliveira. He's on 4-1 in his past 5. I think that he's going to have the experience and all the tools to derail the hype train.
By all means, I do agree with that. All your analysis, like I think that
I'm not strictly
more
against
skills. I think that he has more experience. Higher level. I get all of that. It's just like that thing where like there's just something about Patty and the eyeballs he brings.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that
good.
something.
See that for me because it all flows backwards. Like, if there's more eyes on the UFC, that's more eyes on the sport. That means there's more eyes on the local level. There's more eyes on the local fighters. It just kind of comes, rising tide?
Yeah,
Some
sure.
raises all water, some things like that. I just think more eyes help the sport, so I'd like to see it continue.
Kind of like miss the underground days almost a little bit, so
well,
fuck the mainstream. Yeah.
This kid's got like 1 million something followers. It's insane how he's risen so fast. Did you see the dog shit thing with him? His dog pooped on somebody's yard, and then he went up on their ring and was like apologizing, and then it went like viral. It was on ESPN. There's something about this kid I'm picking. I
don't think he's a bad dude at all. I think he's
sorry,
like,
Johnny and Joe. I know you hate the guy.
I don't dislike him like I dislike Connor, but
all right, different story for different day. Let's wrap it up. We said we were actually going to do 15 minutes for these fight picks, so we're at 21. Let's go real quick.
Well, it's not too bad.
Not too bad for us.
For us, we're pretty long-winded people for sure.
I know. So we're going right to the main event. Go ahead, break it down.
Listen, I got a Polish heritage right here with Jan Blachowicz, who is a former champion of the UFC. Lost it to Glover Teixeira. Teixeira was initially supposed to rematch Yuri Prochazka, who was supposed to defend that title. Prochazka withdrew due to an injury. He's got to reframe his shoulder. He's got some serious issues going on, so he vacates his belt. Is back on the line versus the man that Teixeira took it from, and Jan Blachowicz versus the surging Magomed Ankalaev out of, I think he's from the Dagestan area of Russia, and he's part of that Habib crew. His only loss at 18-1 came to Paul, the Bear Jew Craig, who triangled him with literally 1 second left in the third and final round of their fight, but he's on a surging streak.
You just call him Paul the Jew Bear?
The Bear Jew. That's his nickname, the Bear Jew. Paul Bear Jew Craig. So, yes.
Wow. Interesting.
There it is, right there. There's the loss from Triangle.
4 minutes and 59 seconds.
I told you, I watched this fight. I know my shit. That's why we're doing this
Bear
stuff.
Jew.
That's what I told you. I know my shit.
That his nickname is the Bear Jew.
I can. That's one of the characters from Inglourious Bastards.
I've never seen that movie.
But
anyways, different story for another day.
Different
Who
story
you
for
taking?
another day. Listen, I'm going into this fight thinking Ankalaev has the skill set, the momentum, the youth, and just kind of the all-around timing being right in his career. Blachowicz, this fight was already slated to happen, but the gold has been slated here. I think Blachowicz is going to have the experience factor in the big moment fight. Handed Israel Adesanya his first loss, so I am kind of flipping my decision that I was going with. I'm going with my Polish heritage pride here. My last name in full is Kurzantkowski, as they say in the old country. Bring it back to the old country, Jan Blachowicz. That's who I'm taking in this fight. Even though I think that Magomed Ankalaev's youth is really going to come into play in the fact.
Well, that's who I'm going with.
I'm going with the hope.
I'm going with the Dagestani.
Old Polish. Let's go.
All right, so there you have it, guys. UFC 282 this Saturday night. Great stack card, the last card of the year. We gave you our picks. If you agree, throw them in the comments. You disagree, throw them in the comments.
We're not sponsored by him yet, but go on DraftKings and check our insights if that sways your decision. Throw a bet in, and I didn't tell you to do that if you lose, so.
We're not Yanni the Greek yet, like the UFC, and we were giving you who to pick.
But we are going to start keeping records against each other.
We're going to keep a record against each other, and please, I don't love picking fights, so if somebody out there wants to be a part of
I can do this shit all day.
He can do this all day. I hate pick, because like you saw with the Patty fight, I'm like, well, what's best for the sport? Where's this, this, that. I always think like that. So there you have it, guys. UFC 282. Thanks for tuning in for Friday Night Fight Picks. Hopefully this will be a weekly thing, and you'll enjoy some of our breakdown. But there you have it. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks
And,
for tuning in.
See you soon.